Merry Meet, and welcome to this week's Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. I'm your co-host, Helen.
And I'm Cathy.
And we come to you today after having spent a wonderful
weekend
at ConVocation. If you listened to our last podcast, we talked about how to get ready to go to ConVocation or any other event like it, because there are numerous ones around the country and around the world and things like that. But today we want to kind of have a little wrap up of how the weekend went for us, talk about our experiences a little bit, and so we thought it would be fun if we would cover a top five
experiences from ConVocation.
Yes. But before we get into that, we have some business we have to take care of. And that business would be
Our correspondence.
So
we had an interesting weekend at ConVocation, and one of our friends has some health issues. And we were watching YouTube, of course, and we found the really fun video of the honey badger who doesn't give a crap, to use a more friendly word. And so we felt that one of our really close friends who's having health issues needs to work with the honey badger this year to help her to deal with taking care of herself and taking care of this illness. And yes, the YouTube video was really funny, and it was fun to watch, and it was, hilarious. But
it had it had a message, and it kind of rang very true for all of us.
Right. So the honey badger is actually a very powerful power animal. It is a healer. It because it's a digger, it knows about roots and minerals. It's hard to hurt a honey badger. The video, he was bitten by a cobra, took a nap, got up and ate the cobra. So it has very loose skin, so it's hard to bite and hard to really hurt it. Mm-hmm. It's bold and ferocious, and it doesn't give up. There's also another video on Facebook about a badger that keeps escaping from his cage at the zoo, which is, again, hilarious, mm-hmm. but shows that it's very stick-to-itiveness. It doesn't give up. It does what it wants to do, and it's very insistent that it's going to have it its way.
And we thought that this animal would work so well,
right,
for our friend.
Right. The badger looks like it's a fat little creature, but actually it has very powerful muscles. It's a loner generally. It's unsociable, which is me all over. And it also eats crop-eating rodents. So it helps to keep the population down so the crops can actually grow and keep everybody healthy and mm-hmm. things of that nature. So really, the honey badger is an awesome totem for anyone who's having any kind of difficulties, because the honey badger doesn't care. He takes care of himself, which mm-hmm. is what you have to do when you're sick.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, especially when you're sick. You need to have that same tenacity that the honey badger does.
Because if you don't take care of yourself, you are not going to be able to take care of anyone else.
Right. And your health is first.
Right.
So, our coven sister, if you're out there,
you know who we're talking about.
This is for you. And I think that she seemed a little reticent at first, but I think that she has embraced the idea.
We've got her on board.
And she is going to be looking towards working with this animal, and I think...
And you know what? I think I might try to work some with it, too. Do some meditation, see if it's willing to work with me. Right. Because you know what? I don't care either, so...
Right. And the honey badgers might not look glamorous, but it seems as if they pack a powerful punch.
And they get the job done.
And that's the important thing.
That is the important thing. So that's our correspondence, honey badger. Our commercial for the honey badger. So look it up, check it out, see what you think.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting pendants and jewelry items and things like that we found online. So those are ways to help connect and bring that badger and the qualities into your life. Right. So it is a 2 witches hat approval. How's that?
2 witches hat. That's hilarious. Okay.
So let's move on to the meat of this podcast. Do you, so we're going to do the top 5, and so we're going to go with number 5, and we're going to move up to number 1.
God, you want me to rate them?
Well,
okay.
Oh, so fine. She needs to have 30 seconds. So
no, I'm ready.
Okay, all right, good. So, so why don't you go ahead and give us your number 5 moment for the weekend?
So number 1 being the absolute best.
Right.
Right. Okay. So. First, I want to preface this by saying that the whole entirety of ConVocation was freaking awesome, because it always is. Mm-hmm. As long as you go prepared and you don't let it get, spacey. Mm-hmm. So my number 5 was the runes class that we took, Encountering the Runes with Saranth Odinson. Mm-hmm. And he had a very different take on the runes and the spirit of the runes, and I feel like I can really use that in my practice and learning and practicing with the runes.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Yes.
Good. That actually made my list, but it was not number 5.
Okay, what's your number 5?
So my number 5 was playing Cards Against Humanity in the hotel lobby.
And inviting people we didn't know to join us.
Right. In the lobby of the hotel. So ConVocation is held at the Doubletree Hilton in Dearborn, Michigan. And so the lobby is beautiful, and it's under construction. It's a large area, but they've got little seating areas and little tables and chairs and stuff like that. So we pretty much took over a table and started playing Cards Against Humanity. And if you don't know what the game Cards Against Humanity is, you should probably stop this podcast right now. Stop listening. Go look it up. It's a great game. It's fun. It's a mature game, but
it is offensive and inappropriate, and if that's your kind of thing, you'll love it.
In all the best ways.
Yes.
So we, our coven of sisters, we started playing at this table, and we had people that would come up, and we'd be like, join us. So they would just, pick up cards, and they would start playing with us. And it's the kind of game that you can really do that.
Right.
And so I felt that was a great sense of community. We might not have developed any lasting bonds or friendships with some of these people, but it's people that I've seen around ConVocation.
Right.
And so it was a great way to just kind of hang out.
Interact.
Right. And I like
Instead
that.
of just interacting with the people we normally hang out with, which is the people we hang out not at ConVocation with.
Right.
So, and that was good.
Yes.
That's on my list, but was not number 5.
Oh, okay. All right. So, what's your number 4?
My number 4 was the World Tree, Axis Mundi with Michel Belanger. That was not what I expected it to be. I expected it to be more of the Kabbalistic explanation, go into the details. But I really enjoyed how she talked about how the World Tree is pretty much in all religions. Well, except the book religions, but it is in some of those too. And we did a nice meditation, and it was very, very interesting and fun, and I enjoy pretty much everything Michelle does anyway.
Yes, I do too. Unfortunately, that didn't make the list for me, but just as a side note, I was so happy to be able to add to the discussion in that class. Right. And so that was awesome. And I was able to give, a little plug to my teacher and mentor, Christopher Penzak. That was awesome because we were talking about shamanic, works and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a good class. Mm-hmm. It was I enjoyed that. My number 4 was actually that rune class that we took. For me, I've had a set of runes that Cathy and another old coven sister made for me years ago, but I've never really used them. And so this year I knew that I wanted to learn more about runes and stuff like that, and that's part of the reason that I took that class. And I'm so glad I did, because I'm considering that like the beginning of my rune education. I've been pulling a rune every day, to gain a message and to try to, start a relationship with the runes. And that's been great, but really that class was so
It was
good.
Awesome. I've taken a lot of rune classes, and that one had just a different spin on it. Mm-hmm. That it was very, very interesting.
Right. And what the teacher did, what was his name?
Saranth Odin's son.
Yeah, he's a local guy because I've seen him at ConVocation before. But he basically talked about the fact that each rune has its own spirit, just like you contact. But it's not like a deva, because you contact a spirit of an animal or a plant or a stone, and you a lot of times end up talking to the deva, which is the overall spirit that is all. Cat or yeah, exactly.
Rosemary,
but he was talking about the fact that each rune basically had its own spirit. Mm-hmm. And remind me, it could be different. Like your Lagu's spirit, if because you've said that you've made contact with spirits. Your Lagus and say my Lagus might be different.
Or it could just be interacting differently too.
Right.
So yeah, it was a very interesting class.
Yeah. So that I liked that a lot. So that's my number 4.
Right.
So number 3 for you.
My number 3. Ooh, it's hard for me to decide here. I would have to go with the Prosperity Magic class that Ellen Dugan took. I have to say, first of all, that before last year, I was Ellen Dugan. Okay, whatever. But I actually took a class, we took a class with her last year on covens. I can't remember what the full topic was, but it talked about what to do, what not to do, things that, maybe you should be doing, that you're not doing. And that gave me a lot of respect for the woman. And I took the Prosperity Magic class, thinking, I don't need Prosperity Magic, I really don't. And the class, she talked about a lot of like the Hermetic principles and the things that you need to pay attention to when you're doing a spell. And it's not just for prosperity, it's across the board anytime you do any kind of magic. And it was fascinating. And she has a Prosperity Magic book, which I do not have the title of. But maybe Helen could put it in the notes.
Yeah, make a note of that.
I will make note of
that.
Yeah,
we'll look for what that book is titled, and we'll put a link in the description box.
It was just fascinating, and it gave me all kinds of ideas for things to put in my Book of Light, and it was very, very good. And I wish that Helen had a chance to join me with this, because I feel that there were a lot of things that she could have applied as well. But you know what? I took the class, and I can help her.
Right, and I think it was the same time slot as a class that I took with Andres Corbin Arthen,
right?
Which I think that's a subject that I'm going to wait and discuss in a blog posting. So look for that, and yeah, we'll just deal with that then.
So that was my number 3.
Your number 3. My number 3 was we took a class. It was something about badass mamas.
Oh, yeah. That's on my list, too.
Yeah, badass mamas with Dorothy Morrison and Jackie Smith. Yeah, the badass mamas of magical intervention. And, I love Jackie Smith to begin with.
And Dorothy Morrison.
Right, well, yeah. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The woman makes the best candles. Coventry Creations. I will link again in the description box. She is always fun to take a class with. But Dorothy Morrison, she of course she's Miss Dorothy to me, because she is a grand Southern lady, and to me, Miss is a term of endearment, especially when dealing with a genteel Southern woman, and that is Miss Dorothy.
She is awesome.
The class was great. They talked about the badass mamas that they work with in their practice.
Which I want to interject here. I know it's your number 3?
3.
But this is my number 2.
So then let's just tag team
together here. Dorothy talked about one of her patron goddesses, and to my surprise, it was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Now, one of the classes that I did not get a chance to take this weekend was Pop Culture and Magic, because that's a fascinating subject to me, because I feel that a lot of these personalities, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a big one to me. She has so much feminine power, and why can't we use that in our rituals? And Dorothy went through and explained why Dorothy, from Oz,
Dorothy
Gale was a powerful person, and if you look at all the things that Dorothy did, everything from, helping bring the Tin Man back to life, to talking to a lion, to revealing that the wizard wasn't all he said he was, she was a very powerful figure.
And the fact that she was a little girl.
Right. And did all this while she's a little girl. Mm-hmm. So to me that just brought home, again, pop culture can be used in magic, and that's probably a topic for another day. But that was one of the very interesting parts of the subject for me.
Yes. Yeah, I thought the class in general was fun. It was informative. And really, they gave, each of them gave a little bit of an insight into their practice.
Right.
Which, I was really surprised by the lack of deity. Really. Because...
Well, in the classes we took, yeah.
Well, no. I mean, in the three ladies that Dorothy works with, technically only one is a deity. Because Marie Laveau was a person,
right.
And a lot of people would consider her an ascended master, perhaps, but she is not a deity. And then, of course, Dorothy Gale, and then her third lady is Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Right.
So those are her three badass mamas, and only one is a deity.
Right.
And then Jackie's list of spirits that she works with is Bridget from the Celtic Pantheon, Big Mama, which is Lama Dama. From the Hoodoo Santeria.
Because she does a lot of work in that pantheon.
Right. But then there's a spirit that she works with that she's learned... What was her name?
I really don't remember.
Lobelia.
Yes.
Lobelia. And then she also works with Baba Legba, the Crossroads, the god of the Crossroads. So, she had more deities that she worked with than Dorothy.
But the argument could be made that all deities started out as people who did extraordinary things.
Right.
And it's just been so many centuries that they've been given a place of godhood. Like Our Lady of Perpetual Help is Mary,
right?
Who started as a woman,
right?
So really,
yeah. I found the entire class incredibly.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But the best part about Dorothy Morrison and Jackie is every time I go to ConVocation, I usually have an issue. Last year I was out of a job, so I needed some candles and oils to help find a job. And this year I have some issues with my dad that I don't want to get into, but it's not actually with my dad, it's with my stepmother, but regardless. Anyway, so I was able to get some things from them to work toward that, but Dorothy gave me a hug. I was so excited. Because she's awesome.
Yeah, Dorothy's a great lady. Okay, so that
was my number two.
My three, your two. Mm-hmm. So my two is I made contact with a new healing tool. I am now the caretaker, because I can't say I'm the owner of this, because our tools choose to work with us, and when it's time, they go on to the next person to work with. But I am now the caretaker of a gorgeous Ojibwe made fan made from turkey feathers, and turkey feathers are used to draw sickness. So the Native American traditions use fans and fire smoke and things like that, much like us witches do incense and things like that. You pull and make it go away, basically. Take it up to the heavens, take it down below, take it wherever you believe that energy needs to go. But this fan is gorgeous, and I feel so blessed. I picked it up and just knew that it had to go home with me. So he's on my altar right now. I cleansed him when I got home after the weekend, and he's been on my altar, waiting to be used, and I can't wait. So that's my number 2. So what's your number 1?
Well, I have a feeling that my number 1 and your number 1 are probably really close to being the same thing. So ConVocation is awesome, and you learn all kinds of new things, and if you're really, really lucky, you get to spend time with friends, and you get to make new friends. So my number 1 is not only spending time with my coven sisters, but also meeting other people. One of our coven sisters used to be in a coven in Flint, and some of those people were at ConVocation. So we were able to spend time with them as well. We went to dinner, and then we played Cards Against Humanity with them. And so that, to me, number 1 is being with people who believe very similar to what I believe, people I love and trust, people that I could possibly come to love and trust, and to just be in that community and that friendship with people that I care about.
Yes, that's pretty much what my number 1 is too. We are lucky enough that because Cathy's sister has a cabin in northern Michigan, we've been able to have a couple of getaways where it's just us as the coven members. And so I'm so grateful to have that time and to have ConVocation where all of us, or most of us, come together, and we end up spending time together. We go to classes together, or we go to different classes, and we come back and tell each other what we've learned and stuff like that. And I love it because these are the women that I come together with in perfect love and perfect trust to celebrate this path that I am walking, and to help them on their path, and to be supportive and to be loving, and to just be together. And the fact that we made some new friends that we seem to really click well together with.
It was just kind of odd, but good. In a good way.
Right. And we are going to have them over to celebrate a ritual with us. And I'm hoping that we'll get to spend some more time together with them.
To get to know them better.
Right. Both in ritual and out of ritual and stuff like that. And so that is always a win for me.
Right.
Because sometimes we can feel isolated, because luckily we aren't solitaires. I mean, luckily...
Which I was for a long time.
Right. And luckily we have a coven. So, we have that group that there's 4 of us that are... 5? Yeah, 5. There's 5 of us. Yeah, because we're lobbying for somebody to make us 6.
Yes, right. One of us.
You know who you are. So there's 5 of us, and so that's great. But to come into contact and feel a kinship so quickly,
right,
with someone else,
someone who lives relatively close by,
right?
Too.
I can't wait to see where this relationship goes, and to see, does the cohesiveness that we felt in Dearborn carry through,
right?
And stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Yes.
So there we have it.
There's our top 5.
Our top 5.
And as an aside, it's not really in my top 5, but I have to mention that I did find a statue of Bast that is a very unusual statue of Bast.
Beautiful.
That is beautiful. And I'm just so happy to find it. It was made by the Pacific Company.
Pacific Trading.
I found a couple different names for it.
Pacific Trading.
But if you look up Pacific Trading Bast, you will find it, and it is beautiful. It's such a different depiction of Bast than what you normally see. And I just love it. I love it.
And speaking of deities, because, I think we've covered, but to remind folks, Bast is your patron goddess.
We may or may not have covered it.
Right.
But she's my girl.
Yeah, she's your patron goddess. I actually made contact with a deity that might come into play as a patron god for me. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll
Is that the one that won't work with me because of my kitty?
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's interesting. No, he won't work with you because he doesn't like your cat. Ooh, okay.
Yes. So we'll share more of that as things progress.
Right.
So that's it for us today.
Yep. And I just want to stress that if you have an opportunity to visit a pagan gathering, whether it's Pagan Pride or one of the awesome events like ConVocation or PantheaCon or one of the other really large events that are around the country, even if you don't think you're going to know anybody, you'll meet somebody. Go participate, make friends, because there are people out there who believe similarly to what you believe. I'm not going to say the same because everybody believes things a little bit differently, but you can make connections, you can make friends, even if it's just online. Put yourself out there. There's people out there just like you who don't think that anybody can understand them either. So they're looking for somebody just like you are.
And even if you're not just alike, there's going to be the tolerance level there.
Right.
That they'll accept you for who you are, what you believe.
And that's important. Everybody wants to be accepted.
Exactly. So until next time, thank you once again for taking the time to walk along this path for a little while with us. And until next time, blessed be.
Blessed be.